Good morning, this is Jack from Charging Markets Crypto, and this is the pre-market webinar for the morning of Wednesday, the 16th of April. My disclaimer, I do this for educational purposes only. I'm here to share my technical analysis with you. I hope you can take some of what I'm doing and learn from it, transfer it to your own charts. I'm not here to issue trading signals. Now, one of the nice things about looking at crypto every day is that actually there is a certain amount of crossover from crypto to equities, and one can derive some leans on each one from the other. Now, at the moment, Bitcoin is consolidating a bit, going down a little, and I think really I'm liking this on both equities and crypto, and I'm thinking the next obvious move from here will be a move up. Now, obviously, it's this could all crash to the ground, more tariffs announced and so on. But I'm going to be writing. I'm hoping it will last at least until I've done my next post on Thursday or Friday, talking about alternatives to the US dollar if it becomes less important as a reserve currency. I mean, I'm not thinking that the amount of reserve currency to be held in the US dollar would be going to zero, but I'm thinking it could go down to like 25 to 35%, and that wouldn't be difficult. And I think there would be a number of beneficiaries, and I think one of those may well be crypto. And logically, one of those would be crypto. So I'm going to be talking about that. So I'm thinking that the bullish scenario I'm looking at on here might play out regardless of what happens on equities. But I don't like to. I'm really not sure about that because, of course, you can see here that obviously this is mapped up against equities in the background, Apple in this particular instance, and obviously, historically, there's been a very strong correlation between crypto and equities. I'm just thinking that under the circumstances that I'm outlining in these posts at the moment, that correlation may end. And that crypto, gold, and a number of other currencies may become the flight to safety destinations in the absence of the US dollar and treasuries being that destination. So I'm thinking that actually, even if equities do crash out and go down a lot, that we might see Bitcoin go up anyway. So I'm actually taking, I'm watching this declining resistance, which I'd like to see broken. And I'm taking this double bottom potentially seriously. If this happens, then potentially it's off the hook for going lower into the 69.70 area. This was the back test here, 73.8 against 74.4. And potentially we could head up from here. So I'm wondering about that, and I'm thinking it might happen. On Solana, we've obviously broken up from this wedge. We're testing the 50 DMA at the moment. We're forming what looks like a bullish consolidation there. On the bigger picture, I'm still thinking that we would be heading up into the 147 area test and either break up directly from there or form a right shoulder. We will see. But possibly if we were seeing a fail on equities here, then we could see this go down with equities and then go up while equities continue going down. Just throwing out scenarios here, but it is something that I've been thinking about. On looking at Ethereum obviously has been the weakest. Not a bad looking pattern set up here for the bulls. On the 60-minute chart, I'm looking at the same sort of setup here. It's not following as closely the very similar setup I've drawn in on Solana, and that's because Ethereum has been weaker than Solana and Bitcoin for a long time. And maybe Ethereum wouldn't be a big beneficiary, but it's hard to see how Bitcoin wouldn't be a big beneficiary under those circumstances, and I think Solana probably would be too. So we'll see. Anyway, so that's where we are. I'm leaning towards seeing a little more downside before we see some more upside, but really we could start resuming the upside at any time. I'd just like to see it go a bit lower, and then probably into a rally tomorrow, and then maybe continuation of that rally next week. We'll see how that goes. But I'm thinking on the bigger picture, if I'm right about the bigger picture, and if we do see a bond crisis, that's two fairly sizable ifs, but if, then actually we could see this go back and retest the all-time high and go higher. That could get very interesting. And I would note that these RSI 5 buy signals historically have quite a good history. They're really not bad. So, there's not a huge, I don't have what I would describe as a statistical universe here. But nonetheless, they have performed okay. So the fact that we've got one here is promising. All right, brilliant. In that case, I think that's a wrap, guys. I will catch you guys tomorrow morning. Oh, hang on, just having a look at questions. Gold is being bought by governments and not so much crypto. Yes, I know, but actually, this is the thing. When you look at the U.S. Treasuries being held, it's easy to think, oh, well, that's all by governments, but it's not. An awful lot of it is just held by foreign investors, not by foreign governments. I mean, if you look at, let's say, the 750 trillion owned by the UK in US treasuries, most of that is not held by the government. Most of that is held by pension funds, who are holding a mixture of US treasuries and also a lot of US stocks. It's so we are talking about an awful lot of private investors, and I'm thinking some of those governments, but a lot of those private investors may see crypto as a flight to safety destination for at least a proportion of their assets, and it wouldn't take a huge amount to deliver quite a lot of extra buying in crypto. Crypto's not huge in terms of the overall market capitalization. If you got another, if we saw 7 or 8 trillion come out effectively of US treasuries and more out of US stocks, then we'd be looking at for an awful lot of money looking for a home. And a lot of those would go into other currencies and bonds, and a lot of those would go into metals, but some of that would go into crypto. And if just say 5 or 10% of that went into crypto, that could make a very big difference. And it could push up crypto quite a lot and start another leg of the bull run. Which really Bitcoin looks ready for too. I've been saying all along that Bitcoin does not look as though it's topped. This looks like a short-term high, not a big one, not a big one. So that's what I'm thinking about there. And I think crypto could be a big beneficiary, because actually much of that money would be private investors and not governments, and they're far more open to crypto, and there are more ways for them to invest in crypto now than there were. They can go into the ETFs. I mean, there are options. And an awful lot of these private ones, particularly pension funds and whatever, are thinking of buying a proportion of crypto going forward anyway. Anyway, that's my thoughts on it, and it wouldn't necessarily happen, but I'm thinking it could happen. So we shall see. All right, in that case, that's a wrap. I will catch you guys tomorrow morning, and it won't be a particularly interesting day, and we'll decline a bit and then go back up. We'll see. All right, cheers.